Hello, in this video you will learn about all the trigonometric ratios. So far we have learned about sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. However, there are three more ratios that I'm going to introduce right now. One of them is the cosecant. Cosecant is the inverse of sine. So if you look at sine, we have opposite over hypotenuse. Well, the cosecant would be hypotenuse over opposite. Another ratio that we're going to look at is the secant. The secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. If you go back up to cosine, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and secant is the inverse, meaning the denominator and numerator are switched. As you might have guessed, the last one, which is named cotangent, would be the inverse of tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So now that we know that, we are going to fill out the different ratios. So let's start with finding the angle of reference. So in this case, the angle of reference is given to us as theta. Once we have the angle of reference, we need to identify the three sides. So across from this side right there is the opposite side. So I will go ahead and label this as opposite. I will also look at this is a 90-degree angle. Across from that angle is the hypotenuse. And last but not least, we have the adjacent. So now it's time to go ahead and fill out the fractions. So sine, as you can see on this orange box on the right, is opposite over hypotenuse. Now opposite is 4. Hypotenuse is 5, so that one would be 4 over 5. We also have the cosine. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent being 3. That would be 3 over the hypotenuse, which is 5. Now we have the cosine as well. Tangent, as you can see over here, is the opposite over the adjacent. So opposite being 4. Adjacent being 3. Now, since we learned that now we're looking at the cosecant is this one. Since we learned that the cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite, which is the inverse of sine, all we have to do is switch these two right here, and that would give you the cosecant. So let's start by switching. The opposite goes at the bottom, the hypotenuse goes at the top, and we have the cosecant. Similarly, we will be able to switch these two, and that would give us the secant. So we initially have the cosine as adjacent over hypotenuse. Now we have to do hypotenuse over the adjacent. And last but not least, we have the tangent is 4 over 3. The cotangent would be switching those two numbers around, and that would give us 3 over 4. This concludes the video for finding all 6